is the Audiotastic Podcast with your host, Jef Knight.
Hey, Studio Cats. Jef Knight here with more fun and interesting stories about the music, the biz, and every damn horrible thing that goes along with it. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about bad gigs and good sex. So strap in, strap on, and bite that pillow as we take a trip to WahWah, Ontario. Back in 1986, when I was 25, I was the new guy on lead guitar in a regionally popular country rock band called Buzz Woodcock and Bitter Whiskey. Buzz was 24, a year younger than me, but he looked like a 40-year-old Waylon Jennings and sang like Charlie Pride. Was a hard-drinking mofo, been married twice, and was that guy that kicked the back window out of a cop car trying to escape handcuffed before spending his third stretch in jail. We were booked to play a quote-unquote resort in the distant north of Ontario, Canada, in a town called WahWah. When we arrived, the owner, a dumpy beer-soaked redneck with a hate-on for musicians and city folk, came thumping up to the stage and handed Buzz a sheet of paper. "Here's the songs you'll be playing tonight," he gruffed. We all just stood there wondering what just happened. "We don't know any of these songs," Buzz told him. "Well, you better get to practicing then," demanded the club owner. Now, I need to mention here that this wasn't the kind of resort that you'd think of staying at on vacation. It was a bar with 10 rooms above it in a town of 250 people, about 20 minutes drive from the tree line, as in, no more trees, only snow. So we all went up to the one room they'd assigned us and began picking each other's brains as to how these songs might possibly go. We eventually figured out that these weren't even song titles, merely phrases from the songs that the owner imagined were the titles. This is the point in the story where the band breaks open the cooler, cracks some beers and sandwiches, and gets completely baked on a bag of weed the bass player had brought. 9 o'clock comes around, and we get up on the stage and commence to playing some good old country classics like Crystal Chandelier, but with beer bottle slide solos. On the break, Buzz, as was his style, got right friendly with the waitress who, unbeknownst to him, was the owner's daughter. She was a nice-looking gal, about 20 or so, and seemed quite pleasant. Second set time arrives, and now the band is fully tuned up, by which I mean had several more beers and smoked some more weed, and started the set with some ZZ Top, to test the waters. Well, if that wasn't the spark at the gas pump. Apparently, the only thing worse than uncompliant musicians were city folk and rock music. A skinny, very irritated fella that looked oddly like a drunk, disheveled Billy Bob Thornton rushed the stage. Brian, our bass player, out of nowhere, swung the body of his black Fender P bass and caught this guy under the chin, sending him flying backwards into a table of disgruntled yokels. That's when the wheels came off the cart. The whole room erupted in a chaos the likes of which are usually assigned to movies and legend. We grabbed our instruments and managed to escape out the door at the side of the stage. They seemed to be having their own kind of fun inside and didn't even miss us. About half an hour later, the owner came up to our room. We were all hiding out like fugitives. He told us that we were not getting paid and handed Buzz one of those little yellow and white diner guest checks with some stuff scrawled on it. Seems he was looking to squeeze a few $100 out of us for, damages. Buzz, a shrewd business guy, told him to hang on until morning and we'd slide over to the local bank and take care of the damages. Buzz was unusually charming when he wanted to be. The bar owner agreed and left quietly. This is where the band breaks open the cooler, cracks a few more beers and sandwiches, and smokes some more weed. The room only had 2 beds and a cot. Buzz took a bed, Brian, the bass player, and Steve, the drummer, were spooning on the other bed, and I got the cot. Lucky me, really. I could have been spooning with Buzz. So now it's about 2 in the morning, and there comes a little knock at the door. Buzz grumps out, "I'll get it," while the rest of us try to remain unfazed and keep on sleeping. Well, if it isn't that cute young waitress from the first set break. She and Buzz exchange some quiet words. Then the door quietly closes, and Buzz proceeds to bang the sweet Jesus living hell out of her, while the rest of us pretend to try and sleep. It was kind of awkward. And I say it was awkward, not because we were the unwitting audience to a live-action performance art show that was taking place in front of us, albeit in the dark, but because this meat solo went on for almost 2 hours. It was at that moment when I came to understand why Buzz had so many women in his life. And they weren't being very discreet about it. All I could think was, I hope that the bar owner whose daughter this is lives down the road, because if he lives here in the resort, I'm pretty sure he can hear all of this. And I was right. Just as the young lady was fixing to leave, there came a knock at the door. It was a gruff, tired-sounding old woman. The girl opened the door a crack, and her ma commenced to yelling at each other in whispered tones. So much heat with so little sound. I intuited that this could not end well. Brian and Steve are now standing in a shadowed corner and looking at me with that familiar, "Come on, Knight, you're the smart one of this bunch, what do we do next?" look in their eyes. I looked over at the window, second story, overlooking our van in the parking lot, and made a "go that way" gesture with my thumb. They both shook their heads no in terror. I was about to shrug and point the thumb towards the door where the women were still hissing at each other when Buzz, ever the action hero, commanded in an all-hands-on-deck voice, "Come on, Knight, we're getting the hell out of here." Whereupon we grabbed all our stuff and ran. Literally, ran to the van. As we bolted down the hall and out the fire escape at the end, I could hear and plainly see that the man shouting the foulest of obscenities and chasing us down the hall was also carrying a shotgun. Fortunately for our sorry asses, the van was right at the bottom of the rickety metal fire escape stairs. We piled into that van with the efficiency and precision of a military unit, and as Buzz proceeded to floor it out of there, we could hear the blam of a shotgun fire and the ting-ting of buckshot pellets hitting our now speeding away van. After a few minutes of white-knuckling it down the road, we all exhaled and laughed. The kind of cathartic laugh usually reserved for psych patients. Then we cracked open that cooler. This time, we skipped the sandwiches. Well, there you have it. Another gig, another chance to have random people make your life challenging. After all, isn't it mastering life's challenges that makes us the heroes of our stories? If that's true, then I have 1,000 more of these tales of mastering life's challenges to bring you, so stay tuned. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Next week, I'll be asking the question, does modern music suck? And giving you my analysis and historic look at where it came from and how we got here. So until next time, this is Jef Knight saying, the road may not go on forever, but the party never ends.
The Audiotastic Podcast is copyright 2022, art for your ears.